Miguel, good morning. Good morning, Gian. Jas, good morning. Copper moving nicely. Kind of a big bounce here. Nat gas coming lower. Bitcoin really nice past few days. Did a good job getting over the 200 SMA on not the futures market, just your regular, like on TradingView. Nice job getting over the 200. Pasquat, good morning. Craig, good morning. Scottish, nice to have you here. Johnny. Yesterday, so I got Netflix yesterday, $1,019, and obviously the market was really helpful. I wanted Palantir today, and then obviously, the market kind of sent everything gapping up. I wanted it over this inside day, so I wanted it over yesterday's highs, and it just gapped over that level and kept going. And then 99 is about that other level that I'm watching, and we are over it right now, but I don't know that I'll be chasing. I'll give, some, things in the morning a chance to settle down. And then I also yesterday wanted NVIDIA as a higher low setup over 99.50. But yesterday, the NASDAQ was up 3%, and NVIDIA could not get over yesterday's high. So I didn't chase this move because the NASDAQ at this point at 11 a.m. my time, the NASDAQ was ripping. It was up 3%, and NVIDIA couldn't really get over yesterday's highs. Then you get, the comments of, things are going to take a little bit longer, a couple months, whatever. And the NASDAQ does this, right? Slams back down. And of course, NVIDIA yesterday slammed right down itself and rejected yesterday's highs, to which I'm like, okay, it's noon. I'm not going to mess with it. I'll deal with it tomorrow if it can get over 99.50. And then, you get some news with China deal. Tariffs aren't going to be 145%. They're going to be much less. Trump just negotiating with himself, whatever. Market then starts to rip. And of course, I didn't take this right in here. Should have, but didn't. And I'm watching Palantir, rip. Now it's at $95. And then, just these things kept going and going. And even Tesla earnings, earnings weren't even that good. But when the market's ripping like that, everything kind of goes, Trump backing away from Doge here pretty soon and focusing on his business. So kind of sucks, right? I did want it over 99.5, and looking at it now, it's like that's the market. They never make it easy. So I'm in Netflix. I do have some names on my watch list today, but it's like they're gapping everything up. It's like even Baba. I wanted Baba at like 111.5, and the night before they gapped it up above that. It's like they don't make this stuff easy. It's like 111.5, got a good level. They gap it up overnight while you're sleeping, basically. And then nice day yesterday, increase in volume. I mean, yesterday was a really nice day, increase in volume. And then today, you're gapping above the 20 SMA. So I wouldn't be too surprised if this thing can get itself back to 123, 124, 125, right into the flattening 50. We'll see what happens there. Nothing to be done. Can't cry over spilt milk. It's like these charts are just kind of gapping up. The positive is, the market did get beaten up and quite a bit, and you're starting to get some stocks acting well. Now, you're just, for the most part, going to be bouncing into declining moving averages, but that can change. Carter, yo, good morning. Why not 100 as an entry point from Palantir? Well, because that's just kind of an arbitrary number. I mean, I guess you could say over 100 good, below 100 bad, but I wanted my entry. You see this high here on 421, 96.48, and you see this high here, 96.34. I just wanted 96.50, right? You get over these two little wicks, and basically you've had, a 50% move off the lows, and then you had a really nice 5-day consolidation, right? Just tightening. Just price trying to tighten after a 50% move, right? Didn't give much back. The market rolled over for a few days. Palantir did not, right? So relative strength was there. And I don't just want to randomly buy it over 100. I want to buy it over prior day high. And why not 100? Well, even this day here is 98.99. So, over 99. Hopefully a couple days of sideways for Netflix would be nice. I know the market's kind of ripping, so it might not hold on, but this thing does feel like a leader. If the market shapes up and yesterday or Monday was your quote unquote low, your higher low, and the market keeps going, Netflix feels like a leader. I've been trying to get into Spotify too. I tried this thing on 415 and I got stopped out the next day because the market wasn't acting too great. I just closed it. And then, sure enough, or was it? Yeah, it's 415. And then, this thing's at 606 now, 608. Pretty annoying, but such is life sometimes. They don't make it easy. 354. Yeah, I saw STNE. I saw this one yesterday while scanning. Yeah, I mean it's back above the 200. I don't think we're missing anything just yet. Now if this thing can set up cleanly, now you've got, series of higher lows on the daily, finding support on the rising 50, finding support on the rising 50, got over the 200. I think it looks pretty good. Now it just needs to tighten up a little bit, right? This thing moves 4% per day and it's up 25% from the 50 days. So it's not viable here. Buongiorno. That's Italian for anybody who doesn't know. I'm not Italian, I'm Colombian. But Oklo. I saw Oklo too, but it's in a downtrend. But yes, Sam Altman is leaving. He's stepping down. The problem is whether he's leaving or not. Again, this thing has gotten its ass kicked quite a bit. So, could it bounce back up to 30 or something like that? Yeah, but they don't make any money. And they have no plans on making money. I just want to throw that out there. They've got no plans on making money. How do I know they have no plans on making money? Because they still don't have a permit to build a small modular reactor. So it's all pipe dreams. So if Oklow's going up today, it is because of names like GEV, right? Good earnings, right? Has this little flat base, this little neckline. So, over, call it $350, right? Look at a little 4-hour chart, right? It's got that neckline right there. Now, I thought earnings were pretty good. The nice part is we're starting to get pretty good reactions on earnings. Netflix was one, GEV, did VST report as well. I don't know that they did. Maybe they're just moving it. VRT reported. They got overly beaten up. They're coming right into the declining $50, $85 right now. So see how it reacts there, but good earnings. They're like that powering the AI trade. So AMD, nice. Nvidia, nice. Meta, up 27 points overnight. Apple, up 7 overnight. Microsoft, up 10. Amazon, up almost 10. Google, up 4. Yeah, SKWD. Yeah. I already kind of had this one looked at, but yeah, not bad. A little illiquid for me. I mean, super illiquid for me. Not one I can actually trade. Yeah, I thought yesterday was a follow-through day. Great question. Since ADR changes over time, do you use current day's ADR to guide your trims, or do you stick with ADR? So my first trims normally occur on day 3 to 5. I'm looking for a 3 to 5 day push, often dependent on the group in the market. And then finally, I'm using a 20-day ADR, so effectively a month, 20 trading days. And then I'm measuring extension from the 50 SMA. Well, since I only have one long in Netflix, and I believe Netflix can be a leader, I have no plans on trimming. Yesterday, I took 20% of my position off at 1044. When this thing started to weaken and the market started to dump a little bit, the last thing I wanted to do was give back a super nice gain. So I took 20% of my position off, and that was it. I still have, quite a bit of shares. So, and then over, blue sky territory, 1065 is an ad spot for me. So I'm happy to add back an entire brand new position, but I want it to go sideways for a couple days. A day would even be fine. And give me an inside day today. Just hang out over 1040 to 1060, go sideways for most of the day, and then I could, buy it, add more tomorrow. Might not happen, probably doesn't happen, but Netflix is my only long. I wanted to buy Palantir over 96.5, and I wanted to buy Nvidia 99.5 as high or low setups. Palantir is a 50 SMA reclaim, but it just didn't happen. Right, the market made them go before I could get them. So in terms of chasing a gap up, I won't chase this gap up. I don't really chase gap ups in a market below the 200. I'll chase an earnings gap up. That's about the only gap up I would chase in a healthy market. I'd rather wait for a pullback intraday and then, use a 620 setup. PTGX, super tight, but too illiquid for me. $60 million. Can't trade it, but yeah, I mean, SMLR looking very similar to Bitcoin. Yeah, aren't they the company that owns Bitcoin? This looks terrible. This looks god awful. The stock is down 50% from highs, chilling below the 200, can hardly bounce. If it were strong, it'd look like MSTR. it would have held the 200, bounced, and then, started to break a clean neckline. I mean, SMLR looks terrible. I saw eBay yesterday, Carter. I'll get to that one in a second. Yeah, it does look like we're seeing a lot of gaps today, but I will not be buying any gaps. I need stocks to go through my pivot level. Sometimes it's yesterday's highs, or, prior day highs. Sometimes it's through a clean neckline, like a little flat base. Sometimes it's a little low cheat setup, but I would rather just wait for the open, wait for a pullback, and then see if I get a 620 setup as it's turning back up and the market's bouncing. But I won't chase a gap up. Guys, if yesterday was a follow-through day and today is day 2 of a possible trend change, if I have to believe that, one, I'm already in a great name, so I'm going to let that work, and 2, I'm going to end up finding a bunch more setups over the next few weeks that are looking great and following through. I mean, remember, the market just went through a 20% correction. So if the market just went through a 20% correction, there could very well be over the next 6 months a bunch of upside. I don't understand why, you guys think that I want to be the first one in the pool. I already own a stock. I didn't get a chance to buy Palantir or NVIDIA as potential setups, but there's still other names out there that if I, like, for instance, if I like Uber, right? And if I think Uber is going to $120 in time, right? And it's going to break out of this base and it's still going to go 50, 60%. But, don't you think this thing will give me a couple more positions, like a couple more spots to add? Of course it will. I don't have to own it today when the market's gapping up on what feels like a little bit of, pivot from Trump, right? It's like one piece of good news, but follow it up with better price action, right? We're still technically below the 200-day on the market, right? It's like, don't be in a hurry, right? Really, really big moves occur when the market is above the 200, not below, right? Not below, right? We're still below. So, I need more proof, and it's not that I need more proof. I'm already in longs, a long. I wanted a few more, but, we're starting to see positive signs that the market could potentially be doing a trend change. So if that's the case, and Bitcoin's looking better, there's going to be names to trade there. The NASDAQ's looking better. There's going to be tech names to trade. The S&P 500's looking better. There's going to be groups within that to trade. There's going to be a lot of opportunity potentially over the next few weeks. I don't need to get my entire portfolio invested in one day. It's the fallacy that I think a lot of people have. Like, you're missing something because you don't have all your money working right away. I'm not really worried about that. If this is really a trend change, there's going to be lots of time to get involved. Yeah, eBay. I saw this base in eBay. I saw it yesterday. This is a hell of a base. A little sloppy still, but it should be having earnings pretty soon. So we'll see how it reacts to that. Team, could it be at an interesting spot? TEM. I don't see what's so interesting about this one. For one, this isn't one of the best companies in the world. So the only reason I would consider buying NVIDIA, as a higher low setup below the 200 is because they're one of the best companies in the world. But everything else that I focus on has to be above the 200. Has to be, I typically want it above the 50. I don't see what's so interesting about this. If you think TEM's going back to 80s and 90s, buy it later when it gets above the 50 and the 200. Not trying to say that it can't work, right? But there's nothing special about this chart. The only thing special about it is the fact that it made for an awesome short. It went from 90 all the way to 36. I mean, that's a hell of a move. That's the only thing special about it, is that it can lose 60% in a month and a half. Otherwise, where's the upward momentum? It's like one little day of upward momentum, 1 or 2 days shouldn't get you too excited. It's still below the 200. It's below the declining 50. There's only a handful of charts in the entire world that I would even consider below the 200 as a potential setup. And that was NVIDIA and, maybe like an Amazon and Google and Apple and Tesla. That's it. Best companies in the world, not TEM, Tempest. I'd rather focus my energy on a Palantir, which didn't even get to the 200 during the correction. That's how strong this thing is. Didn't even get to the 200. And then bounced 50% and then consolidated while the market still went lower for a few days, right? That's leadership kind of strength. That's relative strength. Thoughts on MSTR? MSTR looks fine. A bad composite rating, not the best earnings and sales, but they own a ton of Bitcoin. We all know that. But I wouldn't be chasing this thing either. The reality with MSTR is that in just 10 trading days, this thing is up 46%. Right? I said the same thing when it went here, when it went 46% from here to here. And I told people, let it set up above the 50 cleanly. And then it just rolled over. Right? Let it set up above the 50 cleanly. Right? Let the 50 turn up. It held the 200. Bitcoin's looking a little bit better, right? It's getting through the neckline where it broke down from. Let's just make sure that the market's not going to reject here. It's looking fine. It's looking better. But if you guys are in the belief that MSTR and Bitcoin goes to 200K and 250K, then MSTR is probably going to go to 700 or something stupid, right? And if that's the case, you don't have to own it, when it's a little bit extended. You guys have to study it just a few more daily setups, a pullback to rising moving averages, a higher low setup, undercut and rally, flat base breakout, gap up on earnings, high volume close. Like there's a gazillion setups that you guys can study. Not really that many, but I trade like 6 or 7 of them. So I don't really ever feel too much FOMO if I'm missing out on one day. What's the 620 setup? It's an entry tactic that I learned from Gil Morales on a 5-minute time frame to kind of take a more granular entry. Yes, correct, Evan. Can I help you understand the use of percent from low a day? Yeah, when I'm buying a stock, I want to know the percent to low a day so that I can calculate quickly what my risk is, depending on how many shares I buy. GRAL, I don't see anything special here. This looks like a leader. A stock that goes from 65 down to 20 looks like a leader. I don't think so. And that trades $29 million. WG, are you just making stuff up over here, brother? Because this is not what leadership looks like at all. You want to know what leadership looks like? Sounds silly, but it's your Philip Morrises of the world. Go back to any of the streams I've been doing, and how many times have you seen me pull up Philip Morris? You want to see what a leader looks like? How about a stock that's at new all-time highs when the market's still down 15%? Yeah, yep, this one's good. Stocks under ARGT, yeah. And I noticed a few. I noticed like SUP V, but a little too thin for me, way too thin. And then I noticed a GGAL, another one. So I don't know if YPF is shaping up still, but yeah, looks like a laggard. But yeah, Argentina stocks look pretty good. Argentinian. Scottish. When you say the stuff like where the pressure came from, it was dual pressure from a legal case and et cetera, and the pullback in Bitcoin. The reality is that it's not holding up as well as an MSTR, right? So focus on the leader and not the laggard. It could slingshot, but it's gotten beaten up for a reason. CLS, is that Celestial or whatever? Yeah, back at $90. I mean, it held the 200, right? These things like this and VRT, in my opinion, they got beaten up quite a bit. And this thing got cut by 50%. I mean, it's pretty normal for a stock that ends up doing, and this thing went from like $10 to 140. I mean, that's a huge move. Yeah, you're not missing anything though. If this thing's going back to 140, 150, let it show you a little bit more strength. Nice job bouncing back above the 200, consolidating, and now trying to break out of this little consolidation. But it's running into the declining 50 here pretty soon. Let it get above. Let institutions do the heavy lifting for you, and let the market, shaping up even more. Costco. Yeah, I noticed Costco trying to bounce back a little bit. Too slow for me. But, it is trying to get back above the 50 itself, held the 200. I mean, I don't want to hate on Costco because I shop there so much, but just too slow. How much more are you going to get from Costco? You think you're going to get another 100% move in like the next 4 months, right? It's just not going to happen. So really at that point, you're just wasting your time. You want to be in stocks that can go up like a few 100%, over the course of a few months. Like it's impossible for Costco to do that. Or even 50%, right? Like even like in my opinion, like Netflix can go from 1,000 to 1,500. I don't think Costco can. I think Palantir can go to 150, right? Make a 50% move in 3, 4, 5 months. I don't think Costco can. Too slow. But yeah, these discount retailers, Walmart, Ali, Costco, they're holding in there pretty well. Yeah, SFM Sprouts. This one's been another one on my radar. The leader in the sector is Kroger. New all-time high. PEGA or SMMT. I hope these are good. No, trash. Come on. Jeez. 111 down to 60. Trash. Guys, stick a 200 SMA on your chart. If it's below the 200 and they're not the very best companies in the world, like the 6, 7 best companies in the world, just ignore them. Let institutions do heavy lifting for you. SMMT, better, but this kind of moves like a biotech. I'm assuming it is a biotech without even knowing it's a biotech. Is this Summit Therapeutics or something? Let me check. Yeah, it is Summit Therapeutics. If you take something like this, you got to size it way down. Size it way down. Jesus, this thing's gone from 60 something cents, 80 cents, all the way to $30. Holy sh! Yeah, nice big long sideways consolidation, a move back up. But if you didn't take this thing, like coming back through the 50 at $20, like this is a little extended here. You'd have to wait for more consolidation again. I like TGTX. Nice growth story. Very, very steady uptrend, right? Not super extended, hanging out right near the 50, right? A pullback after a big move up, a pop right back up, kind of, rolling over on this declining 20, but, looks like it's trying to get over it this morning. Looks pretty decent, honestly. I've been keeping my eye on this one. My thoughts on Tesla. I am not buying the gap up on it this morning. But when this thing gets back, I mean, I really wanted, for Tesla, I really wanted I want to see at least these little red days get taken out for a potential starter. 262, but I won't be chasing this gap up today. I won't be chasing it. I'll wait for another setup. A higher low setup will work. So like a push, a pullback, and then I can buy it, after it gives me a little pullback and then over prior day high. So that'll be good there. And then ideally, when this thing gets back above the 200-day moving average, 290 will be a big spot for me going forward. How do I assess Palantir valuation versus price action? Price action matters most. The reason it looks so damn good is because institutions are buying it. I don't think too much about valuation. I understand they only do $3 billion in sales a year, but let me look. They have accelerating sales. So they're growing sales by 35% quarter over quarter, and their earnings are making a 75% jump made a 75% jump in the first quarter of this year. So earnings are kind of flatlining compared to last year, but their sales are still growing at 35% quarter over quarter. I mean, so, they look good, and that's because institutions are buying them. Valuations may be a little bit stretched, but I mean, why am I arguing with institutions who are buying them? If institutions like them, then. Did I day trade small caps before I grew my account large enough for swing trading? You can have a small account and be a swing trader. It's a fallacy that you need to grow an account being a day trader. Anybody who tells you that is just lying to you. And day trading is not the easiest way to grow an account either. You have to be a very, very competent day trader to grow an account. If you are very competent, then you can make really good money too. And eventually you can't scale your portfolio anymore as a day trader. You have to become a swing trader. But if you plan on making this a 40-year career anyway, you might as well start learning the good habits to begin with. Day trading teaches you bad habits like position sizing and, not focusing on where money's going, where money's leaving. You're just trading the stock with the highest relative volume every day, or the newest news, or Trump said this, and now you're trading that stock. Like, you're learning bad habits with trading, if you're a day trader, in my opinion. Like, it's tough to then just all of a sudden say, oh, yep, I made $1 million. Now I'm going to switch to swing trading. Right? That's not how it works. CJ, I love Christian. He's the man. He is, I hate telling people that I don't see anything in the chart, but I'm just trying to be honest. If a chart looks nice, a chart looks nice. I'm not here to just dog on a chart that anybody mentions, right? Somebody mentioned the Argentina stocks. I said they look great. Yeah, I think Palantir and Uber are definitely interesting. So they're definitely interesting. Spotify's another one I think is interesting going forward. Besides sector and technicals, what do you look for in a company before you take swing? Well, one, I want to see that the market's healthy. Two, really, the technicals to me in a chart are most important. I want to know that a chart with good technicals is in a good group. And then I want to know that it does have good earnings and sales. It doesn't need them. In a really, really hot market, you can just trade a theme, right? Like quantum computing. But what gives a stock duration, meaning what gives it the ability to move for weeks and quarters on end, like an ANF or a VRT or a VST or an NVIDIA or a Palantir, is good earnings and sales in a healthy market in a good group, right? Edward, 5-minute chart for the 620 setup. Any thoughts on VFC? What is VFC? Terrible. Jeez, this chart looks absolutely god-awful. Horrible. If a stock stays above my entry, but it doesn't move much after 3 to 5 days, do I sell some or wait for a pullback? Depends. It depends what the rest of the group is doing. It depends what the market is doing. If I bought a stock through a pivot and the market is dumping, but my stock is still above my average, but not really moving, then it's just showing relative strength versus the market, meaning nobody's selling it while the market's going down. If the market's going and going and going and going over the 3 to 5 days and my stock is now not moving, then it's showing relative weakness. Then I might not want to be in it anymore. Then I at least might want to take profits and move my stop to break even. So it really depends. Really depends. Thoughts on the ADMA? Yeah, looks good. Looks good. I had this little flat base on there and, obviously tried to shake everybody out. Came right back to life yesterday and, now gapping up over this whole entire range today. Just be careful chasing. It's a biotech, so make sure you size properly. Check out BB BlackBerry. Yeah, I saw this one back when it had a clean setup back here. I just never took it, but I don't like it right now. It looks kind of rough. I saw this thing, when it right in here. When it went up and consolidated right against the 200. But, it round tripped the entire move. Came down, bear flag came down. I mean, when this thing goes sideways after a move down, be careful because it doesn't look like there's a lot of bounce in its step. The best stocks in the world, they bounce back, right? They don't just go down, consolidate and go down some more and then consolidate, right? That's you got to be careful with that. TTWO looks great on the daily. Just needs a little bit more time. Doesn't look like it's has that juice just yet. Not sure what it's waiting on, but yeah, I mean, nice base. Tried to shake everybody out, and then it didn't die. It bounced right back. Right. You got to avoid the eggs like BB, and you got to trade the tennis balls like TTWO. Hood also does look great. Hood looks fine. Ideally can set up over this 50-day. No rush to own it, right? I think Hood could be a leader eventually. So, let it set up, let it finish getting above the 50-day declining. So right around here, actually, right around where it's at. But you just got to get above, tighten up, give me a little higher low setup, and I'll be a buyer. What do I think about LRN? Wow, this thing has been a monster for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 quarters. They got earnings coming up, it looks like. So just be careful buying ahead of earnings. Let me see. Earnings on the 29th, too close to buy, right? Earnings are like in less than a week. So I would just pass on it for now. No, I'll wait for the market to settle. I won't be chasing stocks here. I won't be buying like 5-minute opening range breaks. I'll let the market pull in. If the market pulls in a little bit and then I get a 5-minute setup where it's triggering a 620, I would take something like that, but I won't just be buying it. Santo, yeah, IBIT looks interesting, but really the time to buy IBIT was a few days ago and I missed it. So, I mean, I could have bought it off the 200. You could have bought it on the little gap up over the 50. I mean, but again, no rush. If Bitcoin's really, really going to new all-time highs and 200,000 and 300,000 and 400,000, like some people believe, and Again, I don't have any beliefs one way or the other. If that is truly going to be true in time, then IBIT's going to 100 plus, right? It's got another 100% move in it. So, just wait for a better setup that you understand. And right here, right now, when IBIT is up, 20% as a 2%, 3% ADR, right? It's like, there's no setup for me just yet. Yeah, I did consider that the 50 on hood's declining. So just like I said, you could be patient. You don't have to be the first in the pool. You do not need to be the first in the pool at all, right? There are names that are better, right? Netflix, all right, had a flattening 50, got over it cleanly. Spotify, got over its 50 and gapping up today, right? Like there are names that are acting a little bit better. Again, nobody likes these names, but how come nobody owned Kroger? How come nobody owned Philip Morris? How come not a soul, when I was talking about gold names down here, bought it off an ascending 50, right? Everybody in the Discord knew about this. I was telling everybody in the room Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mentioned gold, 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 right? I didn't bring it up on Friday because if you had to buy it on Friday, you're already late to the party. But yeah, I mean, an ascending 50, not a descending 50, not a flattening 50. You're buying it off the ascending 50. Again, now gold got cracked on the highest volume yesterday. So, I would suggest being mostly out and then letting it reset up. But, it's like, let charts set up. If they go on uptrends and they're real uptrends, they can sustain much longer than people think. So it's good to just be patient. Jax, thanks for being here. Thanks for being here. I like GEV. But I'll wait. Right? This thing's about to be up 40% effectively off the lows in 2 weeks for a large cap company. I just wait. Right? Double bottom off the 200, undercut and rally off the 200, a nice little move up, a nice consolidation, a nice gap up on earnings. I won't chase it. I mean, I'll keep my eyes on it, to see if this thing gives me like some kind of a opening range break, but I don't really feel like I need to be in a hurry to own this one. If GEV is going back to all-time highs, 450, 500, 600, something like that, then I'll have plenty of time to get involved. And names like CEG will also be acting well. And right now it still looks a little rough. And something like VST will also be acting well. And for now, it's just coming up to the 200. And even something like POWL will be acting well. And for now, it looks like a nothing burger. So, no, I didn't go over Celsius, but the beverage companies look great. Yeah, I didn't go over Celsius, but yeah, it just still has like a declining 200. The 50's obviously ascending nicely, but this thing is up almost 25% from its 50-day. It's a little extended on the shorter term to be chasing this thing. So yeah, not something that but again, nice. Finally made a nice little, stage one base, got back up above the 200. Beverage names like Monster are holding up pretty well. Coke was another one holding up pretty well. KOF was another one holding up pretty well. KDP was another one holding up pretty well. So, the beverage names are holding up pretty well. So again, that's something that you could take into consideration when you're buying your stocks. CRK finally fell apart. They're a nat gas name. It didn't really fall apart just yet, right? It's still above that pullback low in April. And, it's just going sideways here. I don't want to use the word falling apart, but it's a nat gas name, if I'm not mistaken. EQT on earnings, a little gap up today. But yeah, CRK, I wouldn't use the word falling apart. And the thing with that is look at nat gas, right? Nat gas is falling apart. So this is actually holding up pretty dang well compared to its underlying asset. So, it's not getting crushed compared to its, underlying asset. Ooh, Amazon, man. Nice. Right back at the declining 20. Amazon. Big moves for these things, man. $10 moves overnight. Yeah, I can't really chase this, but super moves. I know, dude. It's so annoying. Bob is very annoying, man. I almost bought this thing down at the 200 as a 200 SMA UNR. I didn't. I left it alone, and then of course I watched it go from 96 to 115. Then I had it on the watch list yesterday. As I was trying to buy it over 111.50. So I was hoping that yesterday I would be able to buy it, in here during market open. And it gapped up through that, and I didn't chase the gap up. And then sure enough, it gaps up again overnight. So it's like I wanted 111.50s, and now we're at 120. So slightly annoying, but what am I supposed to do about that? Right? I'm not just going to go chasing stocks. The important part is that when you find stocks and you miss them, you at least know that your eyes are on the right place. Your eyes are in the right place. So I'm not ever too mad that I missed something. My eyes are in the right place. And so I can always sleep well at night knowing that if the market is turned, I'm going to find a bunch of charts to be in anyway. So I don't really care. I'm not going to, just put my money at risk chasing stocks. It's just not what I do. Anyway, guys, I love you all. Thanks for the ton of questions today. You guys are all awesome. I appreciate everybody in here for asking questions and participating or just being here in general. If you guys need me, you guys know where to find me. You guys can always ask questions. Try my best to be helpful. Love you guys all. I will see you guys on Thursday. There will be no stream on Friday. I am flying back out to Florida for my interview with Words of Wisdom on Saturday. So appreciate you guys again for being here, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.